ECW Hardcore Heaven, 1997. The second ever pay-per-view from ECW. Also a show that is following up an event that was a week prior that had Sabu and Terry Funk mutilate each other in the ECW arena. How do we follow that up? I don't know if there really is a way, to be honest, but by golly, they're going to try. We got a rematch on this show of one of the most pivotal matches in ECW history. We got Taz defending the TV title. The Dudleys are here. We got the culmination of Tommy Dreamer and Jerry Lawler. And also, maybe a porn star or two pops up, which might sound ridiculous unless you know what ECW is, in which case it makes perfect sense. You know what else makes perfect sense? You being here, you sitting right there and taking a listen to the Apron Bump podcast.
The hardest, talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what heart is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock this. Let's get started.
What's up, everybody? What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Apron Bump podcast. I am your host, the hardest part of the ring, Kyle. How is everybody doing today? Hope everybody's ready to get a little hardcore. If you want to get softcore, you're out of luck, I guess. I don't know. Do they still do softcore porn? Is that even a thing in this day and age? How could it be? I mean, to be honest, a lot of pro wrestling nowadays is borderline, but that's a whole different topic. But we got a couple of hot, juicy topics today because we got the second ever pay-per-view from ECW. We will be discussing today Hardcore Heaven 1997. What a unique show, especially in this time. For ECW, it's just a different look. It's in a different atmosphere. We're in Florida for this show, so we're out of the ECW arena. So that always makes it feel like a big time show. We got some big time matches here, laid it out there for you in the beginning. We got title matches all over the place. We got a triple threat match in the main event. Shane Douglas, Terry Funk, Sabu, the new ECW champion, who won it in that ridiculous barbed wire match that we just covered a few weeks ago here on the Apron Bump. By the way, you might be wondering, the hardest part of the ring, didn't you just cover ECW? Well, yeah. Well, this pay-per-view is literally a week, maybe even less than a week after that Born to be Wired show. So they're really packing it in here in what is it, August, September? I don't know, somewhere in there. But we got a lot of good stuff here. We got Taz versus Chris Candido for the TV title. We got Al Snow in the building. We got the Dudleys. We got the Eliminators, the Gangstinators, as I now know that they're called. And then Tommy Dreamer versus Jerry Lawler. Jerry the King Lawler in a one-on-one match on an ECW pay-per-view. It's just It's a wild thing to even say, much less a wild thing to even happen. And it did happen here. And there's a lot of wackiness, a lot of other weird cameos on this show too, which we'll get into. But it's a fun time. And it's a fun time not only with myself, but with my beautiful, beautiful guest, Jay from PWP Nation. Joining the show today was a good old time with my boy Jay. Go check out PWP Nation. It's a great pro wrestling podcast network that's kind of under our rebrand right now, but make sure to keep tabs on it. Jay is a good dude, really entertaining guy, very knowledgeable, as you will see through this episode. Go give him a follow on X and all the social medias. The link tree is in the description for everything. PWP Nation. Doing great stuff over there. And I try to do great stuff. I don't know. If you want to see me try, give me a follow at Apron Bump on all the social medias, on YouTube, on TikTok, all of that good stuff. Give me a rate, a follow, a like, a poke in the belly button, a kiss on the cheek, slap my mother in the face, and call me a little bitch. Do all of those things, both for me and Jay. Do that to him. Don't even ask. Hey, make sure you stay to the end of the episode, where the hardest promotion battle of 1997 continues. WWF versus WCW versus ECW. Which company is hardest in 1997? We will get into all of the nitty-gritty at the end of the episode. We'll grade this show that we're talking about, but we'll also look at the entire North America or United States pro wrestling landscape of the three major companies, and we'll see who's doing the best. We'll factor in ring, out of ring, stories, overall show quality, best, worst, all of that stuff. We'll get into the scoring system and how that works at the end. But as of right now, WCW is in the lead with 29 points, ECW in second with 25, and WWF with 4 points. So WWF pulling up the rear here. And whichever company has the most points by the end of 1997 will earn themselves a purchase of a championship belt of that respective company from yours truly. As you can see behind me, the old Intercontinental Championship, as WWF was hardest in 1996. Who is going to be hardest in 1997? Well, again, stick around and find out. And with that, I'll quit babbling. Let's get to the hardcore rendezvous, the hardcore shenanigans. That's what this show should have been called, Hardcore Shenanigans. But instead, it was called ECW Hardcore Heaven 1997 with myself and Jay from PWP Nation. Oh, yeah, it's always a pleasure. Which one did you say you were using?
Brave Browser. I use that one.
Interesting. I don't know if I've heard about that one. How is it?
It's kind of off the grid. It's almost like a not really off the grid. It's like a cryptocurrency kind of based browser, like blockchain, all that stuff. So I use that one.
I see. Well, hopefully this works out. I mean, I don't want all this good Jerry Lawler talk, not being recorded, right? You know what I mean?
Of course, absolutely.
So how's everything at PWP Nation, man? You guys still doing the podcast? You said.
I'm restarting podcasting and stuff. We kind of took a break. It's just me now. I used to have a big team with a lot of podcasts, and it during like the pandemic era that kind of fell apart. So I'm trying to like revamp it, get some more people on board, and restart the podcast initiative.
Nice.
Yeah,
well, I look forward to seeing what happens, man. But until then, maybe this will light that fire. A little ECW Hardcore Heaven 1997, man. Did you get a chance to check out the show?
Yeah, of course. And it was a show that I've seen before, and I couldn't remember exactly what happened on the show, right? So when I chose it, I was like, okay, this is 1997 ECW. Which one was this? And then I watched it and rekindled all those memories because there's a lot of things that stand out about the show that are different from other ECW shows.
Yeah, for sure. It's their second ever pay-per-view, so it's still a very new concept at this point. But yeah, this is less than a week after Born to be Wired, which is crazy how that was just like a lead-up show to this pay-per-view. Do you remember that show at all? Anything from that show?
Of course, yeah. Born to be Wired stands out because it's Sabu and Terry Funk. I don't remember anything else from that show specifically, but as a kid, when I watched ECW on the original first run episodes, you just saw the preview for the tape over and over and over again.
Right.
So yeah, of course. Yeah, I've seen that match a bunch of times.
Yeah, I mean, the main event was definitely it was, I don't want to say it was a one-match show, but it kind of was. There was a lot of overlap between that show and this show. There was a lot of things they even just did like bar for bar almost, like we'll touch on that. But yeah, man, the production of this show really stood out to me. It was very, what did you think of it, by the way? They had the it's almost like the Madison Square Garden style where it's like the crowd on either side and then it's like the mezzanine or whatever for people to come. I like that kind of like minimalist approach, which is ECW. So obviously everything's minimalist, but what'd you think about the production, the sounds, the smells, all that stuff?
It was different. That's having the hard cam face the entranceway is a different way of doing things in wrestling. And like you said, it's like the old Madison Square Garden feel. And also AEW has been doing a little bit of that recently as well, where the hard cam faces the entrance. And you kind of have to do that sometimes in smaller venues, just because there's nowhere else to set up. There's nowhere else to set up the hard cam. It doesn't make sense to set it up anywhere else. So this was the production was completely different than other ECW shows. That's why it stands out. So when I first turned it on, I said, okay, I remember exactly what this show is because of the production. It's different. It stands out. Right. There's not a lot of ECW shows that look like that.
Yeah, it definitely felt, because I mean, any show that's not in the ECW arena at this point feels like a standout show for sure. And like everything just sounded different. The crowd was obviously different. So it was a cool feel. And we get started off pretty hot here, I guess, with old Rick Rude coming out here. Well, we start out with Joey Styles actually, but then Rick Rude comes out and interrupts him. So for context, DX just started about 6 days ago, and that was Rick Rude coming out, returning, I guess, to WWF to align with Shawn Michaels. So like the overlap and like his like universe in WWF versus here, and they're kind of referencing that here. Big "you sold out" chants to Rick Rude. I mean, what a crazy time in wrestling, man. You have like big stars like this, like in multiple different companies at one time. And I think he'll be in WCW at some point. Isn't this like where he's like on every company like within a week or something?
He went to WCW right after the Montreal screw job happened, like immediately after that. That was like what set him off to go to WCW. But yeah, it's right in that wheelhouse. And I really loved, classic Rick Rude, "you fat, out of shape Lauderdale losers." Huge pop from the crowd, right? Whereas in the WWF, the crowd would always boo that. But in ECW, that's a huge pop because they love being called that because, it's Rick Rude doing his 80s shtick. It was amazing.
Lauderdale. Was that his thing? Did he just use alliteration insults with
everywhere? He would say like, "you fat, out of shape Syracuse sweat hogs" and stuff like that back in the day, He would do that everywhere he went.
Where is it that you're from, if I can ask?
New Jersey.
You New Jersey ne'er-do-wells. I don't know.
No, I got one. I know exactly what he said. He goes,
easy.
He goes, you fat, out of shape New Jersey Neanderthals.
Oh my God! Hold on.
Yeah.
Oh.
Boom.
Man.
Yep.
Roasted. Boom roasted.
The ravishing one, man.
He's a fierce one. But he's, I guess, pseudo aligned here with the triple threat. So he introduces out Chris Candido for the opening match here. We got the TV title on the line, the champion Taz taking on Chris Candido. I thought this was a pretty solid match. You got just two like fire hydrants of men here, just really stout, just brick shit houses going at each other, but pretty technical stuff as well. I thought this was a fine match. What'd you think of this one?
Yeah, it was one of the best matches Taz and Chris Candido had. They had a handful of matches in ECW, including Hardcore Heaven. I think it was 1999, where it was just a squash match where Taz basically beat him in about 2 minutes. But in this match, it was back and forth action, some high spots, just hard hitting. Of course, Taz catches the Taz mission out of nowhere. But Chris Candido was very underrated at the time. And Paul Heyman knew that and took advantage of his strengths. That's what Paul Heyman was best at by booking ECW, was just accentuating their strengths and hiding the weaknesses. And he did that great with Chris Candido.
I love Kent. I mean, he's so like, first of all, he's like jacked here. Like this is like crazy how like, because it's so funny how like his WWF gimmick was like workout guru. But at that point, he was just like a normal guy. But now he's decided to get all in shape, and he's just like he could have been like a menacing like monster, but he's still like a goofy guy, which he does that so well, so I can't really blame him. But Taz, you got it.
Well, and also Chris Candido was the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion a little while before this, so that's really what kind of that set up his singles run. He started getting really jacked and in shape during that.
Yeah, no, he's a joy to watch. Definitely miss seeing Chris Candido around. So the match starts. You got Taz doing the classic, arms folded thing, not moving. Candido, like, I'm watching this. I'm like, Candido, just kick him in the fucking face. Like, he's not going to do anything. But then he ends up like slapping him or something. But then it's like, he just like starts kicking his ass. Like Taz never like followed up. It's kind of nitpicky, but he was like, "Oh, I'm stoic. You can't do anything to me." But then Chris Candido just like slowly like chopped him down. I mean, Taz eventually did, get he's doing all of his suplexes and shit. But it was more of like a 50-50 match than I thought it would be, because Taz has been like so like explosive and like borderline squashing people. So it was interesting to see kind of like a back and forth match with him in it, I thought.
Yeah, he wanted to keep Candido credible, as a viable challenger and also part of the triple threat. And that's something that was a big thing for Chris at the time. And of course, we saw a little bit of foreshadowing of where Candido's future was going to be towards the end of the show, but lots of triple threat in the show. I really dug that part about it.
Yeah, for sure. It's a running thread throughout the show. But yeah, like you mentioned, Candido, he's setting up for the blonde bombshell, turns around to taunt to the crowd, but then just gets caught in the Taz mission out of nowhere. Quick tap out. Taz retains. And I mean, we'll touch on the world title later, but I'm almost like, is the TV title like the top title in ECW? I mean, I don't know if you can like, compartmentalize like this moment in time here in ECW, but it feels like the TV title is a little bit more sought after, a little bit more of a higher on the pedestal to me. I don't know, what do you think about
Yeah,
that?
the TV title was a stepping stone at the time, and also in like the next year or so, when Rob Van Dam became the champion. That's when it really became the top belt. When Rob
Right.
Van Dam had it and started running with it and had that long reign. But here you can tell because franchise Shane Douglas had this, he dropped it to Taz, and then Taz, it was eventually the launching point to him becoming the ECW World Heavyweight Champion. And as we know later in this show, what happened with the franchise. So but when Rob Van Dam had it, that's when it became the top title. That's when he really was able to elevate that belt.
Yeah, he had the title for like 2 years, didn't he?
Yeah.
Something like that. But then he just had to drop it due to injury. What a bummer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and the funny thing, and just a quick side note on that, I met Rob Van Dam the night after he got injured. He had an autograph signing. He showed up to it with crutches, with the belt, the TV belt, and he dropped it that night. He handed it over that night, which is pretty wild.
Damn, that's pretty sick. That's wild times. Wild times. But I got a question for you. Do you consider yourself a juggalo?
No, not by the definition of juggalo. Definitely not. No way.
What about the ICP definition of jug? Is it juggalo? They're juggalos, right? ICP fans?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. So I would say that I liked the ICP as a kid, but I wasn't diehard. Like I never got the ICP t-shirts. I liked some of their songs because they were kind of mixed into the whole rap rock metalcore genre at the time. But I was never like diehard ICP. I do have like a borderline level of respect for them and what they've done in wrestling, but other than that, man, definitely not a juggalo. No way.
not by the actual definition.
No, absolutely
not. Yeah, man, I've never been an ICP guy. I don't know. I feel like the people that associate themselves with the ICP, I still feel like that's my section of people. You know what I mean? It's not my kind of white people that I like to hang out with. But I don't know, man. Yeah, like to your point, I respect what they've done in wrestling. They've been everywhere. WWF, WCW. I think they even have their own promotion nowadays, which is crazy.
They do.
Crazy. And just seeing them here in 1997, and they're still going at it, both in music and in wrestling, is wild. Especially after they got their asses kicked by RVD and Sabu. Because Joey Styles, after that last match, it cut to Joey Styles, and then he cuts to like before the show, I guess, where ICP was just in the ring hyping the crowd up or whatever. I don't know if they did a concert or what the thing is, but RVD was out there. ICP is like, hey, give it up for Mr. Monday Night. And then Rob's like, yeah, and then kicks him in the fucking face. It's a little rude, but then he lays them both out, and Sabu comes out as well, as if he needed help. Sabu in a suit. Thoughts?
World heavyweight champion. He wanted to, that's really it. And also his uncle's the Sheik, and the Sheik would always rock a suit, backstage. And when he was, he never lost a match or whatever, but the Sheik would always rock a suit. So yeah, that's Sabu in a suit. I'm sure, I'm almost positive that this was booked on the fly. Like this isn't something that Paulie had in mind until probably the day of the show. So they just kind of went through it, but this started the thread that we saw throughout the entire show that led to the end. So I really like this. It was something different that ECW didn't always utilize. They did this kind of thing sometimes, but on a pay-per-view, of course, their second pay-per-view, it was different seeing this. I really liked it. It was different than anything WCW or WWF was doing at the time. Like, hey, this happened right before the show started in front of the live crowd. Check it out. I really like this part.
Yeah, no, it was cool. I mean, ICP was, big at the time, so they're getting all of the recognition and using that celebrity value. Like, props to them for sure. And so this was actually later in the show, but I guess we could touch on it now. Also, during this segment, Sandman comes out to try to help ICP, but he's not successful. Sandman's not booked on this show. I think he's injured at this point. But he comes out, and RVD and Sabu smother him. They do a bunch of they do like a bow and arrow. Like Rob has Sandman and a bow and arrow, and Sabu flies off the top rope with the chair and smashes Sandman. Feels like they're riffing. Feels like everything they do, it always feels like it's just on the fly. Like they're not really thinking about it. And then they crush Sandman's head with a leg drop splash combination from the opposite corners. And then Sandman gets loaded into an ambulance. And I guess we're done seeing him for the night, right?
Well, again, that's the thread throughout the show that I just brought up. Like this is something that you wouldn't expect out of ECW, but on pay-per-view they're kind of going a little bit outside of the box with this whole thread, and I guess we'll talk about that in a couple minutes as we go on. But also the cool thing about this is, and you don't know this until the end, but they're setting up the next feud for the Sandman and Sabu.
Right.
With this is like the beginning of setting that up. So it was a smart booking.
Yeah, it's very chaotic when you're watching it, but it really all does kind of factor into a plan. So that's ECW in a nutshell for you.
Yeah.
But man, this next match, Bam Bam Bigelow, Spike Dudley, rematch from Born to Be Wired, where Spike Dudley got the quick roll-up victory over Bam Bam Bigelow out of nowhere, shocking the world. Spike Dudley did. But I don't think he was able to rekindle that magic on this night. But that being said, minute for minute, in my opinion, probably match of the night right here. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, again, Bam Bam Bigelow is a world-class athlete, right? From the WWF, something like Ravishing Rick Rude. So, of course, the crowd's going to react to him, pop to him, and they're used to him by this point in ECW. But yeah, what a battle, what a war. Of course, Bam Bam Bigelow did everything the crowd wanted him to do, took Spike Dudley, threw his ass into the crowd. Spike was a bloody mess. This was revenge. This was a revenge match, as it was called by Joey Styles, and it was just a beatdown. Of absolute beatdown. Spike, of course, got his hope moments in, like he always did. He was the giant killer of ECW. But Bam Bam Bigelow, dude, this was really like right in his wheelhouse of his prime. A couple of years after his WrestleMania main event, just really crushing it on all cylinders. And it's kind of a shame when you look back on Bam Bam's career and you see like ECW was kind of his peak when it came to, when it came to like his in-ring work and it seemed like having fun in there. And then when he went to WCW, that all started to fall apart for him.
Yeah, I almost think if like Bam Bam came around like a few years later, he might have had a better run.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Man, him in like the Attitude Era, WWF, I can only imagine. I mean, I guess he still could have. I mean, it's the timeline, he still could have. But like, oh man, I feel like there was just so much more potential that we never really tapped into with Bam Bam.
Yeah, WCW gave him a big bunch of money. I can't remember what his contract was off the top of my head, but it was ridiculous. I remember at the time being like, whoa, like who wouldn't take that amount of money? They were trying to put ECW out of business at the time. So he took a lot of money and he just kind of like faded into oblivion. They started him working with Goldberg. He put on a whole bunch of weight before you know it. He's in the hardcore division doing a whole bunch of nothing. And then you never saw him again. And a couple of years later, he passed away. It was just really like a sad final few years for Bam Bam's career.
Yeah, it's a story. I mean, who didn't WCW take from ECW though, when you really think about it? So
yeah, facts.
But yeah, it was billed as a revenge match for Bam Bam Bigelow, and that's what it was. Like you mentioned, it was not super back and forth, as it really shouldn't be when you're thinking about it. Bam Bam, because he took him lightly at their previous match, Bam did, and he did not in this one. Because like Spike, he starts hot. Bam Bam's getting in the ring. He's quickly on him, but then Bam Bam catches him. Big splash in the corner. This huge power bomb, just a power bomb, but it was so impactful and it was so loud. The crowd came unglued for it. And then you mentioned that gorilla press from the ring into the crowd. Man, I think that was like included in like the intro video for ECW TV, and just like a pretty iconic moment here, just amongst a squash match here. But I mean, it's giving you these moments. It's what it's all about.
And that Beal, I wrote down Beal from hell because he took Spike Dudley from one corner, just threw him across the ring as high as he possibly could, and that bump was sick. And that wasn't the only time he threw Spike into the crowd. Spike got thrown in the crowd by like every monster in ECW. I think Mike Austin threw him in the crowd. Maybe even Psycho Sid might have thrown him. Everybody threw that dude in the crowd. It was amazing. It was one of the classic ECW spots.
What happens if like you throw somebody in the crowd and they like concuss a crowd member? Is that just like whatever, rub some dirt in it?
in ECW, yeah, that's what happens, right? In WWE, no. In WWE, there's lawsuits, right? Like, just to kind of touch on that for a moment, what if like that? You know how WWE uses the drones now? What if that drone like just drops out of the sky and falls on a fan in the crowd? You know, I thought
Dude.
about that the first time I saw it. I was like, this seems dangerous, kind of,
Those things,
right?
those things are pretty big. I mean, they're
Yeah,
like small cars. So
yeah,
like,
exactly.
don't know, man. But they're lucky here. Tosses them into like the 10th row, and then gets him back in the ring. Hits this like I don't even. It's like a. I thought he was going for a power bomb, but then it's like a pile driver. It was just like gnarly. And then a moonsault, if you want to call it that, from Bam
Yeah,
Bam. Whatever it was, it looked heavy, looked brutal, and that gets him the 1, 2, 3. So decisive to say the least. But man, I love a good, just big guy beating the shit out of a little guy squash match. It always hits for me.
yeah, nothing better than that.
But from there, we get something that is not quite a squash match. We got a little Al Snow versus Rob Van Dam, contested under Monday Night Wrestling rules or whatever the fuck they said. I don't know if it didn't seem to mean anything other than the fact that Al Snow was dressed as Leif Cassidy and Rob Van Dam had the goofy like WWF logo on his tights, which was sensational. Mr. Monday Night. Solid match here. Not nothing I would like say you have to go out of your way to see, but I thought it was just a good solid match. What'd you think about this one?
Yeah, absolutely. I concur. So Rob Van Dam had a lot of amazing matches, and I wouldn't put this on like his top 10 ECW match list, but this was very solid. It really like was able to showcase Al Snow because this was right before
Right.
the era of like Head and all that stuff, just right before that started. So this is like shows his in-ring ability, which wasn't really focused on during his WWF run at all. So that's what really, like, I guess stood out for me here was Al Snow's ability to work with RVD and do a little bit of different things with him. But the Monday Night Rules was BS. There was nothing Monday Night Rules about this. It was ECW all the way the entire time.
It was a very classic ECW match in that they're like fighting all over the ringside area. You're getting all of RVD's. I'm watching all this stuff chronologically, and it's fun to watch RVD like cultivate all of these moves that he would always do, like the Van Daminator on the barricade and throwing the chairs. And Bill Alfonso is with RVD and him playing the role of like holding the chair in front of his opponent's head as RVD kicks it in. It was just great stuff. I'm not familiar. I know Al Snow in the head stuff, obviously. I'm not totally sure how that like enters his character. Like how does he just one day show up with the head, and how does that get over? But like he's just so wacky that it's like, oh yeah, that could just be a thing he does at any given moment.
I'm not 100% sure exactly how it started off the top of my head, but from what I remember, it started in like those backstage promos, those pre-tapes, where he just started losing his mind slowly about being a WWF outcast and like being put as the new Rockers and all that stuff, you know? And he just started slowly losing it. And then he had the mannequin head, and he just, for whatever reason, he just started talking to it, and it took off. And Paulie thought it was a good idea to get, thousands of those foam heads and hand them out to everybody in the ECW arena. And that was just what an amazing visual that was when that started to kick off.
So good. Good. Yeah, I love Al Snow is like you mentioned, he's starting to go a little bit insane. He's been, that WWF run was, I mean, he was Avatar, he was Shinobi, I think there was a few other things, and obviously the New Rockers as Leif Cassidy, and that's a part of his character here, which I do like. He's still dressed as Leif Cassidy, but he's still angry that people are calling him Leif Cassidy, so that insanity vibe he brings, it's just very fun to watch. It kind of plays into his offense too. I don't know if it was on purpose, but there's one point where he like tries to do like a plancha over the top rope on the RVD, but he just puts himself through a table, which was, I don't know if he like saw the table there, but, or maybe it was all by design. I don't know. Maybe he's just a genius. But yeah, the chair shots there's one point where Snow, he like walks up the aisleway to the stage and then sprints down back to the ring to go do something to RVD, but then Rob just throws a chair at him, and the sound it made was just like a gunshot. Just great stuff all around, but ultimately it's a Van Daminator from RVD for the win. And but no, Al Snow looked good here. RVD looked good, so wins all around, I guess, ultimately, right?
Yeah, really good. And this match, I think, had a big part in him getting noticed by the WWF again for another run. Like, I think this match had a lot to do with it because
Right.
they were clearly watching everything that was happening here because of the partnership they had.
It's like, oh shit, we just had him. We could have done something with him when we had him a few months ago.
Oh man.
Who knows? Who knows? But he'll reach higher heights at some point. But speaking of high heights, we got Lance Wright in a helicopter.
Yeah. This is the thread. This is the thread throughout the show. And again, what the hell? The ECW Extreme Helicopter? Like what? This is something that I totally forgot about this actually. And when I saw it, I was like, man, this is just classic outside of the box ECW doing something different. How did they get the budget for this? You know, where'd the helicopter come from? You know, it just, to me, it was so wild, man. I really thought it was great though, man, for the thread throughout the show.
Dude, like, because as a reminder, Sandman was taken out earlier, loaded up into an ambulance, taken away. So it cuts to Joey Styles, and Joey has something in his ear. He's like, "Oh, we're going to the Extreme Helicopter," which is like, what? Like you said, like in the budget, like we can't pay our wrestlers, but we can get a helicopter.
No, made no sense. But also great for this pay-per-view, I thought.
Yeah, because it's like it's a helicopter view of an ambulance driving, and it's basically implied that Sandman hijacked the ambulance and is driving his way back to the arena. And I'm watching this, I'm like, oh, okay, they just got some like stock footage of a helicopter watching an ambulance, whatever. But then it cuts and like the camera pans like inside the helicopter to Lance Wright, who's actually like, he didn't need to be in the helicopter. Like he could have just done a voiceover and like he's actually up there, like trying to like, oh, Sandman, he commandeered the ambulance. We're getting word that he's trying to make his way back to the arena. We'll have more on this as it unfolds. We'll keep you abreast. It's like, man, it's wild. Extreme is the word.
He could have been on the ground. He didn't have to be in the copter, you know. And then Joey Styles made it a point to let everybody know he was afraid of heights as well. So that was another little detail they threw in there. And also that the ambulance was all over the road. If you noticed, like the ambulance wasn't like driving the right way. It was all over the place. So the implication of the Sandman had hijacked it was just amazing to me.
I mean, the authorities can't let him get away with this. Like, it's on camera. There has to be action taken against Sandman. I would think you shouldn't be able to just hijack an ambulance. But,
exactly. It's pretty serious stuff.
But then it cuts to speaking of serious stuff, it cuts to a Jerry Lawler promo from backstage. He'll be in a match later against Tommy Dreamer, and he's talking about, you know, he's building up the match obviously, and he's like, oh, you know, at the WWF, Undertaker came up to me and was like, oh, make Tommy Dreamer rest in peace. And then he's like, he keeps rattling off, you know, Bret Hart. Bret Hart's like, oh, I hope you put him in a sharpshooter, King. Like, are we supposed to believe that's an interaction that happened?
I love this. I love Jerry Lawler. I'm a huge Jerry Lawler fan throughout his whole career, man. I love his 70s, 80s stuff. But this was great because it was just burying ECW. ECW was the opposite of what Jerry Lawler stood for in wrestling, and he just buried the hell out of him. And even Stone Cold is like, Stone Cold came up to me. Yeah, right. Okay. Stone Cold's going to tell you to give him a stunner. Yeah, okay. Right.
Aldo Montoya came up to me and he said, I hope you score a goal at this paper. Like, shut the fuck up, Jerry Lawler. But he pretty much cuts the same promo later, but we'll touch on that when we get there.
Yeah.
But before that, we got the tag team titles on the line here. More WWF influence, or former WWF, I guess. We got the Dudley Boys, the champions, which that's a whole thing, defending against PG-13, the team of JC Ice and Wolfie D, former Nation members. PG-13. Yeah. Not a lot of people remember that, but that was a thing for some reason. Man, where do we even Jenna Jameson's there for some reason.
The highlight of the night. Now, seriously, Jenna Jameson being there, she was at the time the biggest porn star in the world, hands down. So I get it. She was all over pop culture. 1997 was crazy. She was like on the Howard Stern show all the time. So this was, I thought it was a good idea to have her involved in the pay-per-view. I thought it was smart.
Because if there's anything wrestling fans like, it's jerking off. So
Bingo. Nailed
it
it.
makes sense to have Jenna Jameson there. I don't think we're going to be seeing anything like this nowadays.
No way.
I mean, no one at the star power of Jenna Jameson, I guess, but I mean, I didn't know who she was personally. I had to do research because I'd never heard of her, but I don't even know what porn is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
We got, speaking of which, we got phallic and metallic Big Dick Dudley, as Joel Gertner puts it, which is the greatest description of any person I've ever heard in my life. I think phallic and metallic because he has like a knee replacement and a big penis. I mean,
yeah, bingo, nailed it.
Come on,
nailed it.
But we have the Joel Gertner shtick. He's with the Dudleys. He's introducing each one individually. He's introducing Jenna Jameson, all that shit. So to kind of recap here, so the Gangstas won the tag team titles a few months ago, but then Mustafa left ECW and kayfabe. He's like injured. He's in the hospital, whatever. So the thing was, if the Gangstas didn't come to the pay-per-view and defend the titles, and they would vacate it to the Dudleys, and that was the case. So now the Dudleys are back to being the tag team champions, which Joel Gertner reminds us of. And who better to defend it against first than the former mouthpieces rappers of the Nation of Domination? Yeah. So.
Yeah. And then Jamie Dundee, that's JC Ice here. He was smart enough to get his mic time in when he could. If you noticed, he grabbed the mic after the match ended. He cut a promo before the match. He was able to get his stuff in. And of course, Joel Gertner, Joel, squeeze my lemon till the juice runs down my leg, Gertner. This is one of those shorter, because as the years went on, Joel Gertner kept extending these little promos, and then when he became the host of the show with Joey Styles, they were just like these long diatribes that would get pop after pop after pop that would just build up from the crowd. So this was one of the original beginning of the Joel Gertner kind of perverted introductions. I really loved it. I popped because I thought this was great because it was so basic and simple. It was fantastic.
Did you ever play the ECW PlayStation? I think it was Hardcore Revolution.
Yes, it was the shit. It was terrible.
It was the same engine as Attitude and Wars. It was awful. But the only thing I remember is Joel Gertner on commentary in the game, and you would punch somebody, and it would just be like, "Oh my!"
Classic, dude.
Doing the perverted stuff for Kaya's. It's unsettling. It's unsettling to watch now. 2025, him, his hairy chest and his floppy titties or whatever. But PG-13. I mean, just to set the scene here, we got Jamie Dundee. He has an Uncle Sam top hat with a tie-dye denim jacket with Mickey Mouse on it, and just shorts and boots. And then the other guy, Wolfie D, has is that a hubcap on his chain?
That's what it was. Yeah, definitely a hubcap.
I mean, what an aesthetic from these guys. It's just, I feel like they're perfect for ECW. I feel like I don't think they really had a significant run there from my knowledge, but it feels like they fit in like a glove here. Yeah,
they were the USWA champs, which is Memphis territory, so this is a part of the Jerry Lawler type thing, getting them involved in the show. And they had a run down in USWA. So they were, ECW was not for them. That's why they only had a cup of coffee there. They weren't there for long.
Yeah, which is surprising because like you said, JC, he grabs the mic and he's roasting everybody. And, watching this, I'm like, oh, he's calling their moms a hoe. And he said he's doing "you're so fat" jokes. He goes to Bubba and he's like, if you're so fat, if I told you to haul ass, you'd have to make 2 trips. Which you hear that and it's oh, what a lame joke. But the crowd comes unglued.
They loved it. And also he's planted one on Jenna Jameson during the match. He kissed Jenna Jameson. Was that in the script? That had to have been, right? Because you can't just, who agreed? Did she agree to that? That was the most stunning part to me, is that Jamie Dundee went outside of the ring and kissed Jenna Jameson. That's unbelievable.
Oh, she's a porn star. She wants it. Everything's fair game. That's probably what he said.
Probably.
Or what he thought. I mean, watching all the roast, the sexual proclivities. And the fact that they're from Tennessee, I had to look up. I was like, are these guys related to Jerry Lawler? But they are not, from my knowledge, unless I'm wrong. Do you know?
Well, no, Jamie Dundee, though, is the son of Bill Dundee, who was like classic Memphis wrestling, Jerry Lawler's biggest rival back in the Memphis days. Bill Dundee also had a cup of coffee in WCW. He played like William Regal's butler for a while in like early 90s WCW. That was Bill Dundee. He was great, though. He was like amazing in Memphis. But this is his son, Jamie Dundee.
What a time, man. What a time. Very 1997. All of
this. Yes, for sure.
This is another just, fine match. PG-13, they get their offense in. They're doing like planchas to the outside. Dundee does a top rope bulldog to Devon, I believe, but ultimately 3D, 1, 2, 3. Dudleys get the win. I mean, Dudleys are one of the hottest acts in ECW at this point, so it's no surprise. But it was cool seeing PG-13 get some shine here, I thought.
Yeah, and I like this era for the Dudleys too, because it was before the tables became their like main thing, right? This is right before that, pretty much like a year or so before they started integrating the tables and setting the tables on fire and double, triple tables and all that stuff. So this is literally right before that, and I like it. This is classic Dudley boys, so it was fun seeing this again.
Yeah. Where do you think Dudley's peaked, like quality wise? Because I feel like ECW like was their best work across, because they went everywhere. They went to WWF, TNA. They've done stuff in Japan. I mean, everywhere. But I feel like ECW, they were just so like their characters were so strong. They were great shit talkers. They can do enough in the ring to satisfy the ECW crowd. Obviously, the tables would come into play later, but like I feel like as characters, they're hitting they're like about to like be really hitting their stride here at this point.
Yeah, they really peaked right before they left ECW to go to the WWF, because, when they went to the WWF, it was the end of the Dudley Boys story, pretty much. I mean, they brought Spike in later, but the whole like lineage of the Dudley Boys was a huge part of their story throughout ECW, and it continued to be with like the other kind of like Sign Guy Dudley and all these other guys coming in, the entourage, and the different kind of angles they were able to do and the versatility they had. And also their work, as you just mentioned, their work was incredible. They could work with anybody. It didn't matter who they were. They were in there bumping their asses off. And they could put a beat down on anybody as well. So, obviously they made the most money and had their biggest matches in the WWF, no doubt about that. But I think right before they left in 1999 is when they were peaking. And, who knows if they would have stayed in ECW if the company would have continued on. A number of wrestlers, if they would have stayed somehow in ECW, if the company would have continued on.
For sure, man. Yeah, the Dudley story. I mean, the dances with Dudley, Chubby Dudley, Dudley. Like it was the entire clan, like just getting introduced one by one. And then Devon comes in. And there's like a Dudley Civil War, but then they come together. It's like one of the most like weirdly intricate stories, and it led to good stuff in the end. So
yeah.
Yeah, no, good stuff. They definitely stand out. But another guy that stands out. Well, first we cut back to Joey Styles, who throws it back to Lance Wright in the helicopter. Still following Sandman. Is he driving the helicopter, or is there somebody else driving? Because I feel like it'd be a bit dangerous to be talking on the mic as well as driving it.
There's no way he's driving the helicopter, but I just wrote here more helicopter shenanigans. That's all I wrote, because this was popping me at the time watching this. I was just popping because you're watching the Sandman kind of drive this ambulance all over the road and having no idea where he's going. Yeah. I loved it. I thought it was great. But yeah, this is just classic ECW outside of the box. This is something nobody else was doing. I think a few years previous, I think maybe it was 1994, WCW did a match where they had it actually on the open road, and they had a helicopter kind of following that. That's
King
the only
of the
thing.
Road.
King of the Road, bingo, with Dustin Rhodes and who was it? Axe from Demolition, I think was his opponent.
Blacktop Bully.
Yeah, there you go, Blacktop Bully. That was him.
One of the stupidest matches I've ever watched, because they're like you can't wrestle on a moving truck. They're all just like, whoa, like they're wrestling like to stay upright.
The idea was to like get to the front of the truck, right, and like grab the cowbell, ring the bell. That was it.
They're fighting through hay. It's, God,
unbelievable. Helicopters and wrestling.
Bring them back. We need get these drones out of here. I want a helicopter match of some sort.
Yeah, they should do it again for sure.
Blimps. Remember when blimps were a thing in the arena?
Yeah, man.
Come on now. Come on now. So he's not quite at the arena yet, but he did stop apparently to get cigarettes and I quote, an ice cold beverage of some sort, which again, we're just racking up the felonies here, I feel like, but no questions. It's 1997.
Yep.
Lawless
baby.
time. Yep. But then by the way, as we're watching this, we hear boos because I feel like the crowd's not seeing this part, but they're obviously in the arena seeing what's going on. And at this point, Jerry Lawler comes out for his upcoming match. Big boost for the King. And he's plugging WWF's next pay-per-view, Ground Zero, which is funny. It's where you find real superstars, not these dope heads. Like, yeah, it makes sense. Get your plugs in. And then pretty much cuts the same promo that he did earlier. Bret Hart came up to me, whatever. Ahmed Johnson came up to me. So they give him the pro, whatever the hell. But that leads us into one of the most, I would say, maybe the most anticipated match of this show. Tommy Dreamer with Beulah taking on Jerry the King Lawler. Jerry Lawler on an ECW show. What a just a surreal visual seeing him in an ECW ring, even now.
Yeah, dude. In hindsight, looking back on this, I was thinking while watching this match, like, they could have chosen anybody for the spot on the WWF roster, right? They could have taken anybody they wanted and done this, but Jerry Lawler was perfect for it. He was the right guy for this. He was still working at a high enough level to pull this off, and nobody else would have been great in the spot but him, and they had the foresight to see that. And I don't know whose idea it was. It was probably a mixture of Paul Heyman, Vince, and everybody. I bet it was Paul Heyman's idea, but it was perfect. What a great spot for him to be in here in ECW and to get all that heat and to be kind of the catalyst for this short war that ECW and WWF had. I really love this, man. This match was awesome. It brought back a lot of memories.
Yeah, no, that's actually, he is really the perfect guy because he does, like, he has the goofy crown and shit. Like, he's clearly WWF. He's the voice of WWF. And his very character, very loud character feels not ECW, which makes him feel like a fish out of water. But he does have the history, in the 80s, 70s, whatever, in Memphis with all these street fights, all these brawls, the barbed wire, the steel cages. So he's like, he can wrestle the ECW style, which I feel like he does to an extent in this match. But he's enough of a goofy character to where the crowd is easily booable, easily hateable. So, yeah, ultimately, he probably was the perfect guy for this spot.
Yeah,
he's a reliable guy to get the crowd to cheer for the opposite guy.
Absolutely. The concession stand brawls. I don't know if you ever saw those Memphis concession stand brawls. They're called the Tupelo concession stand brawls. Check those out. That is really like that to me, the first one they did was ECW in 1970, whatever it was, 77, 78. Like, that was ECW. It was a brawl that went from the ring through the crowd into the concession stand. It was chaos in the concession stand, blood everywhere. Ooh. Every weapon being used. That to me was ECW 20 years before the show. Crazy.
And I think Joey Styles, I believe he said that Jerry Lawler's been in barbed wire matches. Is that right? Have you seen any of those?
Yeah, absolutely. In Memphis, they used to do barbed wire matches. Yeah.
What a time. What a life this guy's had. It's crazy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So first of all, this match is very WrestleMania 40-esque. In that all of the run-ins, all of the lights out, lights on, all of the cameos was just a hoot. It's probably honestly the highlight, I guess, the thing you come out remembering from this match. But the crowd brawling. Lawler's busted open pretty much immediately from a. I couldn't quite catch what Dreamer hit him with. Was it a plate with a burger on it?
I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a plate, if I'm not mistaken. And then I think there was another burger that was involved as well, and they took a bite out of the burger and they used the burger. But I think it was a plate, if I'm not mistaken. Yes.
Because at some point during the match, Jerry Lawler he's beating up on Dreamer on the outside, and he picks up this burger. It's like, where did this fucking burger come from? It's like, oh, did he hit him with that? Because the Burger King shit, obviously, it's goofy, but man. Gray looking burger, by the way. I don't know what kind of burgers they're serving in this arena, but keep that shit away from me.
Terrible. Yeah, no, not mine either.
And I don't know anything about this match in particular. Before all the run-ins and shit. Catch your eye about this one.
Just great heat, right? They had a heat-driven match. It was old school style. It was Tommy Dreamer as the obvious babyface, Jerry Lawler as the obvious heel. Lawler was doing all the underhanded tactics. When he got control of the match, he made sure to slow down the tempo. He hit all of his classic spots, including the pile driver, which Tommy Dreamer kicked out of. And then the King just starts going at it with like slow punches, slow. Slowed it all down. And that's the thing about wrestling sometimes is like if you think you're going too slow, maybe go a little bit slower, because that's really where like that heat builds up and you can get to that point where like it's like a powder keg. So that's what I liked about it. That was what came out to me about the actual match before the shenanigans at the end. I really thought that Jerry Lawler, old school all the way here. I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah, it was a good mix of that old school heel heat plus like, the barricade shots, the plate shots. Lawler at one point he has a belt. He's whipping Dreamer with it, choking him with it. And then he rips Dreamer's shirt off at some point to hold like the ECW logo. And then he wipes his armpits. He like drops his trunks and wipes his ass with it, which sounds more vulgar than it was. I guess he has trunks over his singlet. I don't know how that works, but
I don't know.
But it's classic Lawler stuff here. But then Dreamer starts to hulk up, brother. And then just as he's about to get the win, lights go out. Lights come back on. Rick Rude with a trash can to Tommy Dreamer. Because obviously he's WWF through and through now. He's with Shawn Michaels and all that stuff. So I guess that makes him aligned with Jerry Lawler. And Jerry Lawler makes the pin. After that trash can shot, gets a 2 count. So Dreamer's not out of it yet. So Dreamer, he comes back. He sets up for a pile driver. Lights off. Lights on. Jake the Snake fucking Roberts? What are we doing here?
That came out of nowhere. I forgot about this, in all honesty. I knew Jake the Snake made some kind of cameo at some point in ECW, but I forgot that this was it, man. And the crowd went crazy for him, of course, dude. I really thought this was cool.
Yeah, I mean, I had never heard of him in ECW, but it makes sense. It feels like he fits. But he gives a clothesline, or no. Yeah, he gives a clothesline to Dreamer, and then he shows Dreamer what a real DDT is. It hits him with it, lays him out. But then he gives Jerry Lawler a clothesline, so he doesn't seem to be aligned with the King, but he's just here for his own reasons. So I don't know if that's like a thing. Does he stick around? They have a feud.
They had a feud in the WWF like right before this. I think maybe like a year previous or a little less than a year previous. They were in a feud where like Lawler was egging him on because of his alcohol abuse and everything.
Right. I forgot about that. I tried to forget about that. But the Snake slithers away. So both guys are out, middle of the ring. They get back to their feet. Dreamer goes for a DDT on Jerry Lawler. Surely the lights would not go out again. Oh, wait, they do. Lights out. Lights on. Sonny in the ring. Hairspray to the eyes of Tommy Dreamer. But then Beulah takes down Sonny, and we got Sonny in a cat fight with Beulah. I mean, everything about this match is ECW through and through. All of the bingo card slots are marked in this one.
Big time, yeah. And I think this was Sonny's first ECW appearance, if I'm not mistaken. I think this was the first time she appeared in ECW.
I believe so. I believe you are right. But yeah, so I guess she's trying to help out Jerry Lawler here, but Beulah stops her. Lawler then grabs Beulah by the hair, goes to give her a pile driver. Tommy Dreamer sees this, goes to hit Lawler with a chair. Lawler uses Beulah as a shield. Beulah low blows Jerry Lawler. Dreamer DDT to the King for the 1, 2, 3. So the lights are now still on. They are no longer going off. I guess we ran out of WWF guys to make run-ins. Tommy Dreamer gets the win finally. But it was a goofy match, but I had a good time watching it.
Yeah, it was old school through and through, man. This was ECW with a little bit of that old school Jerry Lawler Memphis. I dug it. I thought it was cool.
I'm trying to think who else could have made run-ins, because they had like Jim Cornette in the build-up involved a little bit. That would have been fun. You could have had, I mean, imagine like Shawn Michaels or some shit comes in there. Yeah, imagine the heat he would have had.
A true main event guy would have been crazy. That would have been nuts.
Undertaker, fucking Isaac Yankem, somebody. But no, for what it was a fun time, a fun, silly time. But speaking of which, we're back to Lance Wright and the helicopter cam. Still following Sandman and all of his adventures in this ambulance. Doesn't have a Google Maps. Doesn't seem to have a map either because he's still lost. But, well, until now, because he has finally found his way back to the War Memorial or whatever this place is called in Florida. And cuts to Sandman arriving at the arena, getting out of the ambulance with his kendo stick and just John Wicking all of the security that tries to wrangle him. He's out of there. He's knocking everybody out, and he's, I guess, making his way into the arena. It's gonna take him a while to get in there, it seems like, but man, what a thread throughout this show, man.
Yeah, it was great for pay-per-view, but the live crowd had no idea this was happening. You know, they had no clue, but it was amazing for the pay-per-view. However, the live crowd did know that the Sandman got completely annihilated before the show started. So they have that in the back of their mind heading into the main event. They know that happened, but this pay-per-view kind of angle they ran is really cool, dude. Again, threads throughout a show is something that wrestling misses from time to time nowadays. That doesn't happen too often. That's something that was a hallmark of wrestling back in the late 90s that really needs to come back. And this is a great example of that.
I do feel like, though, like he hijacked the ambulance is a trope that kind of became overdone in time. I don't know if this is the first time that it happened, but seeing it here, it just felt raw, and the fact that they're watching the ambulance actually drive like to the arena, and I think it just added a layer that made it work for me.
Absolutely, yeah, I agree.
But that brings us to the main event. We got a rematch of the night the line was crossed, I believe, in 1994.
Yep.
We got the ECW title on the line. The new champion, Sabu, defending against Shane Douglas and Terry Funk. Man, have you seen that initial night the line was crossed match?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I have not. This match didn't particularly like make me want to, which we'll talk about the match itself. But I mean, the 1 hour draw from 1994. I mean, ECW 94 is a little rough for the most part. Maybe the match obviously did a lot for the company. It's all heralded as like one of the landmark matches. So maybe I should go watch it. Is it worth watching?
Yeah, you should watch it. It was better. It was definitely better than this one. It didn't have, a lot of the shenanigans that took place in this match. And also, you got to remember, like, Terry Funk was in better shape at the time. Sabu was in much better shape. Everybody was in better physical condition. And not only that, but they were able to integrate a lot of things that had never been seen in wrestling. Some things that they actually did in this match that they recreated. So it was really cool. It was like one of the first three-way matches, I think, if not the first three-way match that ECW had. And I would check it out. Yeah, it's a long one, but it's really cool. It's different. It's something that seeing that before this match would show you how much better it is than this match was.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's I mean, you say like three ways in wrestling are still like a relatively new concept at this point. So it's interesting watching them maneuver on like how to structure the match. Sometimes it works. I feel like this match, it felt like there was no like rhyme or reason to a lot of the stuff that, because like it started out like Douglas and Sabu are going at it one-on-one in the ring, but then Douglas is like, "Hey, what's that guy doing outside?" pointing at Terry Funk, and then they both go out. Now they're double teaming Funk, but then Douglas turns on Sabu, and now Douglas and Funk are working together. It felt like every guy took turns like teaming with another. It didn't seem, I don't know, it felt like they were just doing shit during this match. I mean, obviously the Sandman stuff later, it was kind of tied it all together, but I felt like I'm glad this didn't go an hour, because I feel like whatever time this match was a little too long. I don't know. I'm interested to hear what you think about this match, because I'm still not really sure if I liked it or not.
Yeah, I concur with a lot of the things you said. It seemed like they were freestyling a lot of it. They had some spots in mind that they were going to work in. Of course, they did like some of the triple submission holds and things that integrated that three-way kind of feel to it, that three-way dance feel. But yeah, they ad-libbed a lot of it, and that was obvious. And of course, with three veterans like this, that's going to happen. And I know that for a fact, they had that previous match in the back of their mind. So they wanted to top that. And that's very difficult if you're trying to top a match that happened 3 years ago where the circumstances were different. You're in a different arena. Everything was different back then. So they tried, I think, and it didn't really live up. It was too long. I would have shaved probably 10 minutes off the match and probably even shaved the end with all the shenanigans, like 10 minutes off that, because that was pretty long as well. But yeah, it went a little bit long. Some of the stuff was really cool. Some of the innovative table spots they did, I don't think I've ever seen in wrestling again with 3 dudes involved. So I did dig that, but it did get out of hand at the end. It was classic ECW, just got absolutely crazy, and that's something that I think I'll remember this match for now that I saw it for probably the third time in my life. I would think this would be. It brought back those memories that this was not near as good as the first time they did it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And there was a bizarre spot in this match. So it's a elimination match, and all 3 of these guys are in the ring. A table is set up, and Terry Funk is placed on it. Sabu goes to the top rope with a chair, which I don't know what his plan was, but this brings out, or Bill Alfonso's in the ring because he's with Sabu, so he's beating up on Terry Funk to make sure he doesn't get off the table. But then this brings out Todd Gordon, the commissioner of ECW, who rips Terry Funk off the table and just kicks the shit out of Bill Alfonso, which I don't know if this was necessary. But then, as if that's not wacky enough, somehow Bill Alfonso finds his way on this table, and Todd Gordon does. And Sabu leg drops both of them through the table. Like, did he not see Bill Alfonso? Does he not care? Is he just suicidal, homicidal enough to not care about it? I mean, what's the thought here?
The idea was, I think, that Terry Funk put Bill Alfonso on the table at the very last second. At the absolute last second, where Sabu was already jumping, already in the middle of getting that jump going. The idea was to put Todd Gordon through the table, and then Terry Funk obviously quelled that. So we get rid of both of these guys. And Todd Gordon, of course, and Bill Alfonso had a feud that was leading up to this, where they had a really messy, a really messy match. And Bill Alfonso, of course, a former WWF referee, so this all kind of tied into that whole angle there. But that was a little bit contrived. Terry Funk got Bill Alfonso on the table as quickly as he possibly could, but it still didn't seem fast enough for Sabu to jump on and to completely annihilate his manager. So, but I think that was the idea behind it, right? The very last second, and Sabu made a big, massive mistake there.
Fight forever, these guys, Todd Gordon and Bill Alfonso.
Yeah,
dude, that lasts forever. But then Sandman finally makes his way to the ring. I guess he got lost in the hallway trying to find his way to the ring. Because it was 20 minutes between him arriving at the arena. I guess he had to fight security. It was the whole thing. Sandman, he gets in there because he got beat up by RVD and Sabu earlier in the night. Takes out Sabu. A ladder's in the ring. Sandman whacks him with it. And does over the top rope plancha into the ring, onto the ladder, onto Sabu, crushing him. And then Terry Funk and Shane Douglas both pin Sabu 1, 2, 3. He's eliminated. So we're gonna have a new champion here. We got Shane Douglas, Terry Funk 1-on-1 here, but not before Sabu with a triple jump dive into the aisleway, onto Sandman, onto all the security. Pretty cool visual, I thought there. Kicking off their feud. But then, so now we got a 1-on-1 match here. Where do you rank Shane Douglas's belly to belly among finishers?
Yeah, that's a good question, because you always think of that not being a finishing move, but he was able to use it to his advantage throughout his entire career. The thing I like most about that belly to belly is the fact that it goes right into a pin. So there's no delay time. That I think is the psychology behind it. Is that you hit the move and you're already in the pin. And if you watch Shane Douglas do it, he's very fast to hook the leg and try to get that 3 count. And I think that is the psychology. Again, it took 5 of these, I think, during the match to finish off Terry Funk. And that's where Terry Funk's toughness comes into play. And it's not a classic finisher, right? But whenever Shane hit it, he would usually hit it kind of out of nowhere, where it would catch his opponent off guard, and it's right into the pin. And the referee normally is privy to the fact that he's got to get down and count that 3 as quickly as possible, because it's a belly to belly. It's not normally a finish, and really hasn't. I think in WWE, Bailey use that for a little while as a finish with the same kind of concept. You hit that move and you're right in the pinfall. There's no delay before you get that pin. And that in pro wrestling, that extra like 0.3 or whatever, 0.1 even before the kick out can be all the difference. So I believe that's the psychology behind it. I was never really a big fan of it. I really liked his, he used to do the Fisherman Brain Buster as well, like the Fisherman Buster for a little while. They called that the Pittsburgh Plunge. And that's a more devastating finisher, I think, traditionally. But this, you go right into the 3 count. So I think that's where it kind of was his finish.
That's actually a good point, because I've always shit on his belly to belly. I feel like because it's a low impact move, but your point on it landing in the pin basically is actually, it makes sense, because it's almost like a more impactful, like small package-esque, where it like stuns you for just enough amount of time to get the 1, 2, 3. So psychology wise, I guess it does make sense.
Yeah, I've thought about this before. I've thought deeply about this before, because I've always had that same kind of inclination. Like, it never really made a lot of sense, but I think that's where. I sat down with Shane Douglas in person. I didn't record it or anything. I was backstage one time and I picked his brain for about 20 minutes, and I should have asked him that question, and I didn't. And I talked to him about other BS that really I don't even remember what it was. But if I had an opportunity to go back and sit with him again, I would ask that question.
You didn't deep dive into the belly to belly with Shane Douglas?
Yeah, I should have asked him though, man. I was just asking him, like, I asked him, I don't even remember what I was talking about.
There's maybe a lot to ask Shane Douglas about. Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I mean, he's still going at it, so I don't know, maybe you'll have another chance. But yeah, so Douglas, first, I guess I bring it up because apparently nobody is kicked out of it, according to Joey Styles at this point, which I found odd. But yeah, to your point, I guess there's a reason. But yeah, it took a bunch of them. He's hitting it over and over again. Terry Funk continues to kick out. Francine gets involved at some point, but who better to quell her interruption than Dory Funk getting in there to even the odds to help his brother, right? Terry Funk?
Yeah, it's his brother. Yep.
The European uppercuts. They're very, I don't know, they're very Dory Funk style uppercuts is all I'll say. Douglas takes a hilarious bump. He does like a flip after he gets hit with one. And it's at this point we got some pretty good drama. We got some good roll-ups here. Close 2 counts from Funk. Almost gets the win at several points. But ultimately, it's another belly-to-belly that gets the 1, 2, 3. New ECW champion, Shane Douglas. Man, I mean, probably the way to go here, right? Among, Sabu and Terry Funk. I don't know. Terry Funk can't be around too much longer after this in ECW. Sabu is always the guy you could give it to, but yeah, Shane Douglas is such a, classic heel. Good guy to have as your top champion for a babyface to chase. So I didn't mind the finish here, I thought.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was perfect. You just recently you got the TV title off of Shane Douglas, gave it to Taz. And of course, Taz beat him for it. And now you got Shane Douglas reclaiming the ECW World Heavyweight Championship. And this, of course, set up a series of events that took you throughout 1998, throughout 1999, building up Taz to eventually knock off Shane Douglas, And this was Paul Heyman's like long-term booking. He was thinking about this. Like, I've got this set up kind of perfectly to where, who obviously we know not to give away spoilers, but Bam Bam Bigelow eventually beat Taz for the TV title, and RVD took it from him. So it was kind of like almost a setup trajectory to get Taz elevated, to put Shane Douglas back in that spot, to put over Taz again. It all came full circle where that feud for the TV title went to the World Heavyweight title. I thought the whole entire booking of the championship scene in ECW, the singles titles around this time, was just incredible. And Shane Douglas was the perfect guy to have it, especially with what would happen in the future here.
For sure. So Shane Douglas gets the win here, but we are not done.
No. And this is what I was waiting for this entire show, because I forgot that all this stuff happened at the end. I'm waiting for like classic ECW, like complete chaos. And this is where it came into play.
Yeah. So there was a thing on Born to Be Wired where pretty much this exact same thing happened, which I talked about it a couple of weeks ago. It was like one of my favorite things I've seen from ECW. It was so hype. It was in the ECW arena. You had, the Dudleys brawling with everybody. And then you had New Jack and Cronus doing all these dives. You have Balls and Axel with the chair shots. You got Joel Gertner getting hit with a chair. This is all on Born to Be Wired. And I was like, man, that was awesome. That was probably my favorite segment of 1997. And it's clear that they're trying to rekindle that here because they almost beat for beat do this exact same stuff. Perry Saturn getting in there with his broken leg and the crutch. Fun chaos here. I don't think it matched the Born to Be Wired shenanigans, if you want to call it that. But I don't know. What would you? I mean, there's a lot going on here. I don't even know where you want to. If there's anything in particular that stood out to you, but
a funny part that I wrote down that stood out is Terry Funk at one point was just beating on Axel Rotten. And, that's another baby face. And Axel Rotten stopped him, was like, no, Terry, no, those guys over there. Was like, no. And because Terry Funk was just through a war. So, but he's still in there fighting. And this was absolute craziness. The heels kept getting one up on the baby faces, even when like Balls and Axel came out with the chairs. The Dudley boys were out there. Oh, just absolute pandemonium. I think that's the right word for it to cap off this pay-per-view.
Yeah, it's ECW through and through. So I guess it's a better finish than just Shane Douglas getting the win. But and that brings ECW Hardcore Heaven to a close. If you had to grade this show from 0 to 100, what do you think you would throw at it?
0 to 100. If I'm using an ECW scale on what they were doing at the time, I would say it was probably somewhere in like the 80 range, low 80s. Just because it was a different vibe. We had some different things on this. The PG-13 match was, different for ECW. The production again was a little bit different. So it was outside of the box for what they were doing. It was only their second pay-per-view. So they were still kind of getting a feel for that, but I would give it a B. I thought they did a really good job overall. I was very entertained by it. It was great going back and watching this again, as I hadn't seen the show in many years and forgot what was on it. And it was exciting. The crowd was into it. They were hyped the whole time. They were pumped that ECW was in Florida, Florida was a hotbed for them, but they didn't go there as much as they did in the upper Northeast region. So, I loved it. The thread throughout the show with the salmon and the helicopter was fantastic. I don't think we've ever seen anything like that again, where a thread with a helicopter happened throughout the entire show. Overall, I love it. I would give it like a B, I would say, like an 80s.
Sure. I mean, I think we could all agree that MVP of the show, Lance Wright in the helicopter, in the extreme helicopter. What a
Definitely.
guy.
Yep. And especially being afraid of heights, as Joey Styles was able to tell us. Yeah.
Putting his life on the line to give us the scoop on Sandman and his whereabouts. You got to respect it, ultimately.
Big time.
But also, got to respect you, buddy. Appreciate you taking the time to check out the show, hop on, talk about it. Where can everybody find you, watch you, listen to you, taste you, all that stuff?
Thanks, Kyle. I appreciate it, man. This was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for having me on. You can find me at PWP Nation. That's PWP Nation. Pro Wrestling Powerhouse is what the acronym is for. On all social media platforms, mainly my bread and butter right now is Facebook, doing a lot of traffic there. A lot of people love the content, the interaction on Facebook, and also on X and any other social platform. My name's Jay Aledo. I've done a lot in wrestling as far as backstage stuff for some big promotions, wrestling, actually in the ring, refereeing, and podcasting. I've interviewed famous wrestling stars. So you can find me also at Jay Aledo on all social media platforms.
And I think one day we'll have to get Shane Douglas and we'll do a little three-way dance of our own and do like a 60-minute breakdown of the belly to belly. I think that
would be good, because I want to know if that's a part of it, if that's the psychology, because if that's the psychology behind it, that makes perfect sense to me.
I mean, if there's anything wrestling fans are hungry for, it's deep dive analysis on the belly to belly. So I think that would work. Yeah, we'll pencil it in. Once again, thank you to Jay from PWP Nation for joining the program today. It was a hoot having Jay on. Make sure to give him a follow on all the socials. All of this stuff will be in the description below. He's a great follow. And keep tabs on his upcoming changes with his podcast platform and the network and all of that good stuff. But until then, I think we need to hit that jingle, Bartholomew. WCW, ECW, WWF, who's the hardest promotion? Eric or Vince or Paulie? I think we can agree, though. Heck, Myers is the shit. All righty then. The hardest promotion battle of 1997 continues. As we covered in the beginning of the episode, it is WWF versus WCW versus ECW, currently WCW is in the lead of 29, ECW at 25, WWF with 4. How are these points calculated? Hardest part of the ring is what you guys and gals are screaming at your radio right now, I'm sure. But don't fret. We'll walk you through it. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm sharing my screen. You can follow along visually, but if you're just listening on audio, we'll talk you through it as well. The first thing we got to do, though, is grade this show. From a scale of 0 to 100, what the heck are we thinking, gang? So I'm looking at these scores, right? Just to make sure, we're weighting everything the same. ECW, Born to be Wired, got a 73. Now the first thing we should think about is, was Hardcore Heaven better or worse than ECW, Born to be Wired? My first thought is worse. I think Born to be Wired overall was a better show. I don't think by much, but I think it edges it out. I think we saw a lot of overlap between the two shows, a lot of duplicative stuff. And I think Born to be Wired just kind of hit more than Hardcore Heaven did. I don't know if it was the environment, if it was, I don't know. I preferred Born to be Wired personally, which got a 73. So the thought would be to give Hardcore Heaven a score lower than 73, which I think is fair. Thinking like 70, maybe. What do we think about 70? WrestlePalooza got an 82. WCW Road Wild got a 54. SummerSlam 97 got a 67. Was this better than SummerSlam? Perhaps. You know what? I don't know if it was. I think it was close. I'm thinking maybe we throw a 68 at this, at Hardcore Heaven. 68 feels fair. Let's put it on the tongue. Put it on the tongue. How's it taste? Is it sour? Hold on. Yep, tastes good. Tastes good. 68 is what we'll throw at Hardcore Heaven. So we will refresh this. And we'll take a look at the average scores from each company. ECW walked into this with the highest average score, and they maintained that just barely with an average score of 73, and WCW with 70, WWF with 63. So we go over to the overall scoreboard. So this is where all of the magic happens. So as you can see here, or the highest average score for pay-per-views / special events, yada, yada, yada. ECW maintains those 15 points, so no changes there. And I'm going to be honest, it's been like less than a week since the last show that we covered, so I don't anticipate much, if any, changes here, like TV, in-ring, out-of-ring. These 3 categories here, I don't think enough has happened to really warrant any changes. Again, very similar quality to the last ECW show we covered. So nothing monumental, not like, oh man, their in-ring slipping or their out-of-ring is rocking. Like, no, it's about as good. You know what I mean? So I think we'll leave all of these the same. Right now, as far as best TV product and overall best in-ring and overall best out-of-ring, WCW has all of these locked down right now. In-ring is the one that's a little shaky for me right now. I think you could easily throw ECW at this, but I think WCW just has a more well-rounded, just more depth, and is just more consistent in-ring. WWF isn't doing a lot in any category right now, so I think we'll leave all of those the same. So WCW maintains those 35 points. So now we move on to the best section. Again, I don't think any of these are going to change, but let's see. Best match, Bret and Austin, WrestleMania. Nothing on this show is better than that, so no changes there. Best wrestler of the year, we're tracking Stone Cold Steve Austin as the best wrestler of the year. Yeah, again, with ECW, as far as people that are in the running, you could throw a Taz out there. You can throw maybe a Sabu, an RVD, Shane Douglas. No. And none of those people they didn't blow me out of the water on this show. So we're going to leave it as Stone Cold as the wrestler of the year at this point in time. Best character / storyline, we're tracking Taz. Now, I will say this. This character / storyline, right? The whole Taz saga. Initially, this kind of encompassed a lot of the Jerry Lawler, RVD, Sabu stuff. Bill Alfonso, all of that. But it seems like Taz is kind of separating himself from all of that. That seems like the direction we're going in. So I'm inclined to take Taz off of this. Although Taz is still a great character. And we are factoring in everything that's happened in 1997 up to this point. So it's not really like at this moment in time thing. It's like everything in 1997 on average. What is the best character / storyline? You have to think about the Taz Sabu story. And then the Taz stuff with Lawler kind of coming out of that. Now he's kind of separated himself from that, but he still has a great presence and a great just like deal going. Like his character is like, I don't want to deal with that WWF bullshit. I'm here to defend my title, brother. And all that's pretty sick. I like all of that. So is there any other character or storyline better than Taz at this point? I mean, Lawler and Dreamer, you could. I don't know if their match here really solidified. If they had like a barn burner match on this show, you could probably throw Jerry Lawler and Dreamer in there, but I don't know if they did. WCW, what do we got going on? I mean, it's nothing. The Sting stuff, of course. But we're still kind of cooking with that, I think. It's like in the background, it's simmering. It's great. But I don't know if we're at best of the year yet. By the time we get to the end of 1997, that could very well find itself as this best section here. We could see WCW taking these 5 points away from ECW. But as of right now, I think we'll leave it as Taz. Best segment of the year, we got Jerry Lawler's debut at WrestlePalooza. Very topical nowadays, by the way. WrestlePalooza. Best segment of the year. Yeah, nothing has really happened since then of great substance, so we'll go ahead and leave it there. ECW keeps those 5 points. So no changes yet, but let's move on to the worst, shall we? Worst match of the year, Undertaker Sid from WrestleMania. Yep, that stays. WWF keeps those -3 points. Worst wrestler of the year, Prince Iaukea. Oh, Prince. How you conflict me every single time. I really hated his work this year, but he's kind of faded away. You know, I've brought it up on the past couple episodes where we've done this. He's kind of faded off into the background. So is he the worst? Can you be the worst if you're not significant? That's my thought. But who from this show would be who would capture that? No one comes to mind, honestly. Yeah, no one from this ECW show. If anything, it's going to be somebody from WWF or WCW that I think takes this over. So we'll leave Prince Iaukea there for now. Worst character / storyline, we were tracking the Honky Tonk Man, Billy Gunn, Jesse James stuff. Yeah, still very bad. And again, nothing from ECW is worse than that as of right now. I don't think, right? Yeah, nothing worse. So WWF maintains that. Worst segment of the year, Miss NWO, of course. That will always and forever be the worst segment of 1997, I think. I'll be surprised if anything overtakes that. So with that said, no changes here. Score stays the same. WCW maintains a chokehold on the lead for hardest promotion of 1997. But we got a few more months left. We got how many shows here? How many shows do we? Oh, we're getting towards the end here a little bit. We got 11 more shows this year for any changes to happen. We got WWF In Your House Ground Zero coming up. We got WCW Fall Brawl. So we got some stuff from the other promotions coming up here in the next few weeks. So make sure to keep tabs on that. We could see some changes here based on those shows. But there's only one way to find out, and that is to follow, subscribe, stay tuned for the next episode of the Apron Bump. I appreciate everybody tuning in, as always. I always appreciate the support. I say it every time, but it's true. I love you. Mwah. So with that, I think that is all Daddy has for you guys today. Take it easy. Goodbye. Bon voyage. Mwah. I'm hard.
Yeah. It's the hardest. Talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what hard is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started. It's the hardest. Talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what hard is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started.